Hey, I'm Nigerian, I've had IVF, had problems with infertility, and it's still with me. Hey, I'm Ruby Suze, is your girl here. I'm so glad you decided to join me on this journey of motherhood, of being a wife, and just a general busybody, to be honest. So today I decided to do something completely different, which I've never ever done before, and that's being completely transparent. I've decided to do this today in honor of National Fertility Week, and also because recently I've been feeling somehow. I don't know if that makes any sense to some people there, when you just feel somehow and you know that it's time to give a message, it's time to speak about things that, to be honest, you probably have been far too scared, far too awkward about before. And I just thought, you know what, I'm gonna say it and I'm just gonna get out. So you probably have seen from the title anyway, but today I'm talking about infertility, IVF, and me. So 4 years ago now, I was told that I would never be able to give birth naturally. And I cannot in any shape or form tell you how that went straight to my heart. It cut like a razor would cut someone's head, like the scalp. It felt like somebody had literally ripped my heart out, broken it in pieces, and just stared at me as if to say, and what? Because that's what I felt like. I felt like, now what? Now what are you gonna do? And me, who has always had a heart for children, I love children. It's part of my profession, it's part of who I am. I've always been around children. And to be in this wonderful, amazing consultant's hands in that room and hear that, by the way, you're never going to be able to carry children naturally or get pregnant naturally, was soul destroying. And to be honest, my husband was right beside me and later then told me how he had heard the news before I did. And I just want to say now, honey, I love you, because I don't know how anyone, knowing the gravity of hearing that news, could sit next to me and just hold me. Because as soon as that news was given, I fell to the floor and you know, kind of like, you know, the artist, I don't know, I'm so emotional at this moment, so I can't even think of the artist, but it's a scream, you know, and and they've got the hands and they're doing that. I know that I'm not trying to be funny, I literally can't remember, but I think it's called the scream. And that's how I felt inside. I literally felt like that inside, and so I just put my hand over my mouth because I didn't want to make this huge scene. It moved me and it stayed with me, because 4 years on, I am gifted with two beautiful children that came out of my body with the help of IVF, or through IVF I should say, not with the help, because that doesn't sound right, because I got them through IVF. It's not like, you know, IVF and I were like, hey chum. It was through IVF that I got pregnant. I have two wonderful children. I have nothing to be complaining about. I should be grateful. Everything should be fine. But the truth is, the ache is still in my heart. I know at least two women around me who are close to me who are pregnant. And when they told me, or I found out they were pregnant, the ache came back in my heart, as if to say I had no children in my house. And it came back to me because I don't think you ever get over being told something like that. I don't think you ever get over being told that, sorry, your baby has passed away. I don't think you ever get over your tubes not being there, which is my case. I don't think you ever get over endometriosis. I don't think you ever get over having your ovaries being covered with cysts. I don't think you ever get over that. I think it remains with you, and you find different ways of coping with it, and you turn every day into be grateful, and you adopt children, you foster children, and you take children as your own, even though you are still waiting for your child. But I don't think it ever gets over. So I'm speaking up for all those women who are too scared, perhaps, to share their story. I'm speaking up for all those women who are too afraid to ask for help. I'm speaking for all those women who are in their bedrooms right now crying out because their period came. And you'd be surprised at how having your period utterly changes your mood. I remember when my period used to come, it was as if the whole world should just stop, leave me alone. I wanted a baby and I wanted it now. And it was unreasonable because I had a marriage and I should be grateful and just enjoy my days with my husband. That's great, but I cannot explain this urge that you have. I can't explain it, and I'm sure science could. I'm not a scientist, but I know that it's there, and it's an ache you carry with you. I remember days when leading up to your period, you're just like, oh my gosh, yes, please, yes, this month, yes, yes, and then you bleed, and then it's just like, okay, maybe it's implantation bleeding, and then it gets heavier, and then you're just like, okay, and you lose the will to go on, you don't want to go out, and then it gets worse with Mother's Day. Mother's Day. Mother's Day and being a Christian can be real hard because you're taught to go to church and to pray. And there's nothing wrong with prayer. But then some churches, I don't know how everyone, there's some churches you go to and it's like stand up of your mum and it's as if the whole world is seeing you with your barrenness. It's all exposing. And the worst part of it for me as well is that they don't look at the men in that way. They just look at me in that way, as if to say something's wrong. In my case, there was something wrong with me, but it could have been his issue. But nobody would know because fertility is always associated to the women. It's always also associated with older women who, especially in this time, who have left it too late. Like, what is that? That's so rude. Like, you don't know someone's circumstances to say they've left it too late. That's so wrong. I was young. People would never have thought somebody at 28 years old, even now to this day, when I go in and I have to have some kind of procedure or doctors have to hear about my medical history, if I tell them at 28 years old, by the way, I've had 2 laparoscopies, I have no tubes, so I have no need for you to talk to me about contraception, they're flabbergasted. They have no words for me. It's I don't think it ever leaves you. I know I've said it before, but I don't think it ever leaves you, because how could it? When you go for your medical history, you have to list it there. I had 2 beautiful children. I had quite difficult time for me raising them afterwards, especially after my second child, because I felt very ill. I had 2 cesarean, not 2 cesarean for one child, that would have been a bit much, but I had 2 successive cesareans fairly close together, so my physical health was quite challenged, and you're constantly being reminded of that. And if your child starts acting up or starts getting annoyed and you start finding motherhood very, very challenging, all of a sudden you've got the guilt of, I cannot be angry with this child because this child was a gift. I mustn't be like that. And it's so I don't care what anyone tells you, you carry it with you. And you know what? It's fine. It's fine, because you find different ways of coping, and you find different ways of being grateful, unique ways of being grateful. Scars are not all that bad. It's you holding on to the pain and the bitterness, because if I'm honest, I was angry. I was really angry with God at one point. I was super angry. I was like, sorry, God, like, especially if you're a Christian, I was like, excuse me, I've ticked every box. I've been in this church for over God knows how many years. I've served in this church. I've been a Christian, an active Christian, since I was 13. I met my husband. We did nothing. We didn't even kiss to our wedding day. You know, we walked down the aisle like, woohoo, we have ticked all the Christian boxes. And then we get married and it doesn't happen. And I'm like, well, but I did everything that you were supposed to do. how can I be in this position? And it's a lot of anger, and there's all sorts of emotions that come out. So at first you're angry, and then afterwards you're guilty because you're angry. How dare you be angry with the God of all gods and all creation? And then it's like, then it starts talking to you about your spirit of comparison, because then you're like, oh, that person, that couple, why are they pregnant? It's not fair that they should, because they did X, Y, Z. And then God tells you about how dare you look at your sin, and then he reminds you of that actually it's by grace and mercy that you are standing right there. How dare you start talking about people's sin? And then I start talking about, but I've done all this, and God's like, you're trying to show my CV. You're trying to show me your CV. Your righteousness is filthy rags in my eyes. Like, you cannot compare to me. And God's like, look at the sky, look at the stars, look at the sun. You tell me if you can even sniff near that star. Do you know how confused scientists are trying to work out how to get to the moon and all sorts of life forms and stuff that is way above my intellectual level? They're confused at even the thought of breath. Like, there's so many things they can't explain. And you are sitting here trying to say, because you served in the youth ministry, that you deserve a baby. So you got that. And then you've got the ache that you feel when you're culturally, like, you walk past somebody and they're just like, for me, this was my issue, yeah. I am quite slim. I've always been like this, right? But the problem that I have being slim, I've always been like a size 8 or 10. As soon as I eat something, I instantly, like, my stomach is like, it's just like that. So I always wear loose fitting, like, by the way, shift dresses are the one. But anyway, I always wear loose fitting clothes because I became accustomed to knowing that if I wore anything tight, especially when I first got married, people instantly asked me. It wasn't even like 2 minutes, instantly. I had one auntie one time rub my tummy. I was just fat from eating. There was nothing else wrong. I wasn't pregnant. And she was like, praise God. I was like, excuse you? How do you know that maybe I've just had a miscarriage last week? How do you know that my womb's even working? How do you know that I don't have cysts or I have fibroids? How dare you like do that? Or you have people who'll be like, oh, this time next year. Oh, this time next year. Are you a prophet? No. You wouldn't tell the short man, sorry, no offense to all you vertically challenged people. You wouldn't tell a short man, don't worry, this time next year you're going to be 6 foot. Or you wouldn't tell someone who's got challenges with their hair edges at the front and say, oh, don't worry, this time next year you'll have a full head. So why do we feel the need to pick at people because they've not done it in your time? And then God talked to me about time, and I was like, wow, you know what? Timing is key. To be honest, when I was craving for children, had children come along, yeah, I don't know how we would have survived. But that's all in hindsight. At that time, speaking to you right now as you watch this, you might be going through a time where you're like, yeah, but I can't see that right now because it looks fine. I'll cope, I'll manage. The truth of the matter is time, and you can't force it. You can't make it faster, you can't make it slower. You're in your moment, and your feelings are neither right, neither are they wrong. Don't allow anyone to tell you that mustn't say that. You must speak faith. If you feel miserable, honey, you just feel miserable. Pick up your tissue and cry if that's what you feel to do. But it doesn't mean that you have to remain there. The way I coped, I made sure that I had children around me. I know some people found it far too painful, and that also is fine. But I found it quite uplifting. And to be honest, the lessons I learned looking after other people's children actually have served me now. But I understand if you find it too painful. But I do recommend speaking faith. I do recommend buying outfits. I do recommend sharing it with people around you. I do recommend praying with people. I do recommend moving away from friends who perhaps are making you feel guilty of where you are at. I do recommend you maybe not talking to people who are constantly moaning about motherhood, because it was too painful for me. Every time opening my Facebook status and seeing people going, I've been up all night, my child is driving me mad. It was too painful for me. But that's not to say that that person's struggle wasn't theirs. That's a very real struggle. I've also been there where you're desperate for sleep, almost going insane looking for sleep. I've also been there. But the truth of the matter is, when you're feeling such pain, that actually is more of a deterrent than actually helping you. So you need to get yourself into a right environment and a safe environment for you to express whatever pain you are. Just to help some of you who might be watching, who might not know my journey, I've not actually shared, but you know, I just said that 4 years ago I was told I wouldn't have children. I wouldn't be able to have natural children. Natural meaning I wouldn't be able to just conceive because my tubes were blocked. So I had to have them removed, which in essence renders me sterile, and I never need to use contraception. It's just not that way for me. But that was after 5 years of trying every kind of method you can think of. I don't think there was nothing I didn't try. And people will come to you with very weird advice. You need to be very careful, and you and your husband need to decide together what you're going to listen to and what you're not. It's not everything that people say that you must follow. Honestly, people will tell you eat this, drink this, have sex like this, lift up your legs, turn your legs to this side, turn up that side, do it. Listen, if you and your husband have not agreed or anything, don't do it. Don't just do it because somebody else down the road did it and it worked for them. Do what works for you, what you feel comfortable with. Yeah, so me and my husband, there were certain things we were just like, no, we're not doing that. We're not going to that ministry just because they said that a baby, that's fine for them. And not everybody tells you the full story, honey. Some people will get pregnant, but they didn't tell you that they got pregnant through IVF. They will just say they got pregnant. And to me, that's not a complete testimony. And that's why I'm here saying that this is what happened to me. One of the reasons why we decided to go for IVF is because we had decided in our heads that if this was the body that God had allowed us to have, but he had revealed it to us through this consultant, then he's already revealed a solution to this problem. And we had agreed beforehand, if anything happens and we don't get pregnant, that's fine too. We will adopt. And if adoption doesn't work, then that's fine too. There's always going to be a solution to this. So don't feel like it's the end of the world for you. There's always a next step. If you do want details on how to go about the IVF process specifically, please do leave me a comment, send me an email. I don't mind speaking to as many people. When I was in that journey, I was all on my own. There weren't nobody in my family who'd gone through this. None of my friends had gone through this. It was just me. And the part of the reason why I'm sharing this is because I don't want you to be me sitting in the room wondering, am I going to die in this? So if you're watching this video and you feel like you've come to the end of the road, I'm pouring out my heart here to tell you that I'm here to help you. I will pray with you, scream with you, shout with you, get frustrated with you. Whatever you want, I'm here. I'm just handing out a heart because I've been there and it's a very lonely place to be. And I think I love my husband with everything in me, but sometimes it's very difficult to convey this kind of emotion to a man because he doesn't necessarily feel it in the same way. So if you do want someone to speak to completely confidentially, please do feel free to comment. Please share this video. I want as many people as possible to stop being silent, especially in our culture, especially being African, even more especially being Nigerian. We're very tight upper lipped. Like, we're quick to say where is the child, but we're not quick to say how the child got there. It's a very weird way, and I want to stop that. So I'm gonna put my face out there as the Nigerian, saying, hey, I'm Nigerian, I've had IVF, had problems with infertility, and it's still with me.